I am 22 hours into this gigantic game. There are definitely great and amazing things about this game, but there are also many negatives that need to be addressed. I just wanted to make a quick early impressions video for Starfield. And I say early because even 22 hours is a short time in this game. It's massive. There will be light story spoilers, but nothing too deep other than vague statements about what I've been doing. There is no doubt that this game is a lot of fun. It has deep world building, complex characters, and very large amounts of things to do. But there are negatives too, so let's go over this, kind of in categories. But I'll talk about what's great and what's not so great in Starfield. So first up, I want to talk about character creation, backgrounds, and traits. My background choice was Space Scoundrel because I'm a huge Star Wars fan. It also led me to look for cool pistols and really embody that playstyle, as normally I would ignore pistols altogether, but I am genuinely enjoying playing with pistols instead of large firearms most of the time. I wanted to really immerse myself in that role, and I think the game systems have really allowed me to do that. I'll be honest, in about the last hour of my 22 hours was the first time I saw unique dialogue for my background, but I'm honestly not complaining. For my traits, I went with kid stuff, which is really cool. I enjoy seeing my parents, but without spoiling anything, there is definitely some cool upsides to this trait other than seeing your parents fairly regularly. I also went for Raised Enlightened, which gave me access to a chest in the Enlightened area in New Atlantis. There wasn't much special in it, to be honest. I picked up a quest while I was there, but I'm yet to complete that quest, so I can talk about that more in my full review. Subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss that. Other than that, the character creator itself for your looks can be as simple or as complicated as you want it to be, with a bunch of options that can really be tweaked if that's what you're into. I liked it. Pretty decent system, and in-game you can change the look if you're not happy with it, which is great. Let's talk about some gameplay next. Combat is pretty good so far. I have mostly engaged in gun combat and not really bothered with much of the kind of melee combat. Guns feel great. I will say early on I was doing very little damage, but as the game goes on you start to pick up some really strong weapons and skills that really start to mash enemies' faces in. Kill time drops dramatically after about 10 or so hours. I'm not sure why, but I just all of a sudden got better guns and their faces melted. What I will say, however, is that ammo is a pain point for me. I rarely struggle to have enough ammo at the beginning of the game. You can pick it up often, but it's not for the weapon you're using. There are so many different ammo types that it's just crazy. You can also buy ammo, but it is rarely a pain as the shops only stock a certain amount, and if your brain retains information in the same sort of way mine does, you will be forever forgetting which ammo you actually need, and having to exit the buy screen, going to check which ammo your gun holds, talking to the person again, and getting back to the buy screen, and by then, you can only remember one at a time because my brain is tiny. This is a small thing. Much like my brain, really. But it happens often and it does start to get annoying. That's going to be a theme with much of the negatives for this game. Guns themselves feel unique and interesting. Again, I haven't dived much into the customization, but it does look cool. I have dabbled and what I've seen I like. Seems like you can make any weapon just the way you like it. Enjoying the video? Please do me a huge favor and smack that like button for a small creator like myself. It really helps the video be seen by more people. And if you really like it, why not subscribe? Thanks. Okay, back to the video. Let's move on to the skills and the skill tree. Now, even though I have a bug on one of my most important skills in the game, I think this skill tree is very good. My weightlifting skill says I have maxed it out, but I only ever put 2 points into it, and I am not getting the benefits from the last 2 tiers. It's very frustrating because inventory space is a massive chore in this game. It's constantly full and you always feel like you're over encumbered. That's beside the point though. I think that this skill tree is one of the best we've seen in games in a while. There are a lot of skills and each of them has 4 ranks to it. I like the fact that you have to do things in order to be able to unlock the ranks in the skill tree. For instance, to unlock the 2nd tier of pistol certification, you must kill a certain amount of enemies with pistols. Thematically, it makes sense. Using your pistol more would make you more skilled with it, and gameplay wise it really makes you think about what you're doing and work towards the things you want to unlock. You must also spend a skill point to unlock it once the challenge is completed. The only problem I have with the skills, and it's a small one, is that you constantly feel like you need every skill. Therefore, every skill point feels meaningful. So, I'll take this trade any day. Skill points are like gold, and I am hanging out for every single one of them. Okay, so let's talk bugs. Strangely enough, I had to restart my game 3 times in the first 8 hours, and then after that, I haven't had to at all. Oh, and by the way, I'm playing on PC. I've had complete freezes where it got stuck in the loading screen. I waited like 3 minutes, Bugs where you get completely stuck somewhere. Oh yes, oh my god, I'm just remembering this. Your companions are constantly getting in your way. Other NPCs just in the way. They get you stuck all over the place. You have to like jump and boost and sometimes reload a save from a few minutes ago just because they get in your way. It's so frustrating. I'm currently having the bug with my weightlifting skill, as I mentioned before. I've had many smaller bugs happen, but that's par for the course for any video game. Many different times, the people you're talking to will just completely look the wrong way, and it's immersion breaking, in a game where you're really trying to get into the world. And it's not that they're talking to other people, this happens when I'm the only person there and I don't have a companion as well. Most of the bugs haven't been game breaking, but I would say that this is far from polished. And no, saying it's a Bethesda game is no excuse. Games need to come out better than this. Just because you're a studio known for buggy games is no excuse to charge me £85 for a broken game. It is not well optimized for PC either. I've had much better looking games running a lot better than Starfield runs right now. I've had to turn down a lot of settings just to get a steadiest frame rate, and it doesn't look amazing a lot of the time. A big meme that is bouncing around right now is Starfield is loading screen the game. And while that might be a bit harsh, there is no escaping that there is a ton of loading screens. As far as I'm aware, this is an engine problem. Man, Bethesda really needs to ditch the creation engine. Walking around the city, you have to go into a loading screen to open doors into a lot of shops. Some you can just walk into, but others you must load in and out of the shop. It is completely immersion breaking, and even different parts of the city must be loaded into. Different parts of buildings, and it's just ridiculous. I might be alone in this, but I really can't get my head around where things are in the city. When I'm constantly hitting loading screens, it takes me out of it, and I don't really know where I've gone. I have no idea where the different districts are compared to where I am in New Atlantis. Maybe I'm just stupid, but standing at the spaceport, I wouldn't have a clue where to go if this was a real city. The city of Neon was the first time I really decided the loading screens were too much. I swear, in one very small quest, I had to go talk to a few people and convince some guy of something. Told you, I was going to be very vague. And it was about a 10-minute quest at most, and not counting the loading screen to land on the planet, I hit 13 loading screens. And although they're short, that's not really the point. Without spoilers, let me talk you through them. One to get into the city from the landing zone. One to go into an office to talk to someone, and then one to get out again. Next one was to go to another part of the city through a door, back through that door after a short conversation with an NPC who asks us to do something, through another door to a different part of the city, 2 more loading screens going in and out of a place to talk to another NPC, and back through 2 more doors to get back to the part of the city where the NPC asked us to do something. Loading screen in and out of a bar, and then the quest is over with one final loading screen as we use our ship to fast travel to another planet. 10 minutes of gameplay and 13 loading screens. This is either a huge problem with the creation engine not being able to load much at any one time, or a giant optimization problem. Either way, in 2023 AAA games, this is unacceptable. Another frustrating thing about this game is the menus, and everything that isn't straight gameplay. Navigating these menus is a real chore, and since you will spend a lot of time in these menus, I really wish they had got it right. It's hard to explain, but basically everything is just so difficult to do and takes more button pushes and screens than really should be necessary. Inventory is a complete mess. There's no way to sort it, you can't see the item unless you hover over it, and you have to read every description. It just takes so much longer than it should. Moving things to other inventories or to your ship cargo is a chore. I don't know how many times I've done it in reverse and put everything from my ship into my inventory because the menus are so unclear. They just need to do a lot of work on the UI. I cannot comment on the shipbuilding or base building as these are later game things and I am yet to get that far. Okay, back into some gameplay now. Let's go over conversations. Now you'll be doing a lot of talking in this game, and I mean a lot. However, for the most part, it's all fairly intriguing. I enjoy the persuasion minigame quite a bit, even if a lot of the times it doesn't make any sense that any reasonable human would change their mind after the things I've just said to them. Gameplay wise though, it's fun. It's saved me time and money many times so far, and I'd encourage you to invest at least 1 or 2 points into this skill. In Starfield, more so than most other games with conversation choices, I feel that the responses I get to choose from are closer to what I'd actually say in real life. Some games just leave you with no real option but to pick a sentence that is just so stupid, but most of the time in Starfield, I feel very happy with the choices I am given. Oh, I almost forgot to talk about spaceship combat. It's serviceable. I don't think it's anything amazing, but I enjoy it enough not to have anything bad to say about it. Speaking on spaceships, we might as well talk about the exploration of this game. It doesn't feel very real. You spend most of your time in the menu pressing fast travel and light jump to different places, and it never really feels like you're getting in a ship and traveling to these new planets. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad the fast travel is in the game. If I had to run to my ship and take off and set a course to a new place with about 3 or 4 loading screens every time, I probably would have put this game down by now. It probably sounds like I dislike this game by now, but I really don't. I am enjoying my time immensely. There's just a few things that are really souring my experience. The game is so much fun with an immense amount of interesting lore to sink your teeth into. I went through a museum at one stage and looked at every exhibit just to learn everything I could about this world I was exploring. The lore and the stories are very interesting. I think anyone who loves sci-fi and space will really enjoy this side of the game. I have not yet completed the main quest, as I've been told that most Bethesda games' side quests, like factions, are usually much better, and so far, I must agree. I'm enjoying doing the faction quests for different places and peoples in the game. It's all intriguing and pulls you along as you want to know more about these cultures and places. I have yet to just sort of run around planets of my own other than to do missions, so I'm not having the problems of running into world borders between landing zones and all that kind of stuff that's going on Twitter and all those things. I've never had much interest in that, so I don't think that will ever be a problem for me. I know people were expecting a more freeing No Man's Sky approach, but honestly for me, it's not a big deal. I've never hit a world border and probably never will. Running around an entire planet was never something I was interested in the first place. Honestly, I think this game is great. I don't think it's Game of the Year, it's not an industry-defining moment, and it's not exactly what was promised, but nonetheless, it is still fantastic. I am loving the world they have created, but I think technical limitations have really held this game back. I will check back in with you guys after I've done everything in the game I want to, and I will do a full review. That might take a while though. Click on one of the videos on screen to see more of my content, and subscribe with notifications on so you do not miss any of my future content. Thanks to my patron Alex Applegate, and thank you for watching. Sticks out!